Hello, beautiful souls. Good to have you with me once again. Welcome to the place where you're going to hear all that's healing. One of the things that came to me, and it just like came down through the spiritual channel, is to deal with something that really needs a soul healing, and that is victimhood or victim mentality. So let me explain what that is and what that isn't. I just had to make sure that my microphone was turned on. It's one of those days. What can I say? Anyway, victim mentality is when someone has a soul scar that's deep, that says, I have been rejected and I did not receive enough attention, either growing up or something happened within relationships, so I need a savior. I need somebody to come in like a knight in shining armor to save me. And not only that, I need a circle of people who will support this victimhood. Okay, so this is not meant to be judgment or condemnation. This is in the spirit of teaching and enlightening, okay? When people have a victim mentality, this is a healing issue. And the other component that goes along with it is the knight in shining armor. And this is the person that has the need, because there is a need to be needed, a need to be wanted and desired, because something surrounding that person's life, either past, present, or whatever, is not giving them the ability to excel in the things that they are gifted in. They're not operating within their gifts, but they're operating from their soul scars. And so they attach through attraction to the victim, and the victim attracts the person who is the knight in shining armor. So what happens is the victim needs this attention. The victim needs to have this, it's like a dopamine fix, right? They need that oxytocin, they need that serotonin, and they need to feel like, you know, they're wanted and desired, and that they are worthy of being rescued and worthy of someone's love and compassion, because there's something that's inside of them that reflects unworthiness. Okay, so this is a place that we're going to work on healing in later videos and some others, but I wanted to just kind of set up some of the foundations of some of the things that are going to come, so that you understand by the time I get there. And it's Holy Week, so, you know, I'm going to give you an example from Jesus once again, but this is the prophecy about Jesus in the book of Isaiah, in the book of, in Isaiah 53 chapter, there. And I'm ahead of myself because I'm so excited. I'm just so excited to give you this message. It's like it downloaded this morning and I'm like, really? Okay, so this needs to be dealt with. It's prophesied of Jesus' walk to Calvary, his Via Dolorosa, okay? The way that he went to Calvary, beaten and bruised and accused and broken down physically in his physicality. Okay, what was witnessed by human eyes is and was in his physicality. And this is what was prophesied about Jesus many, many years, hundreds of years. Excuse my glasses again, don't laugh at me. Many hundreds of years before he went down the road to Calvary. This was spoken about him. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he didn't open his mouth. Like a lamb that was led to slaughter, and like sheep that was silent before its shearers, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away, and for his generation who considered that he was cut off out of the land of the living, for the transgression of my people, to whom the stroke was due. His grave was assigned with wicked men, yet he was with a rich man at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was there any deceit in his mouth. Now, if there was anybody, listen, if there was anybody on this planet that deserved to say, hey, come on, there's something happening to me, he deserved to squawk, really. And a lot of us would. I might. In the eyes of persecution, let's look at Jesus and the dynamics of the type of human he was in his human body. Love personified, nothing but healing coming from him, desire to make things right. And that meant coming against some of what the religious law leaders of the day really wanted in the temple. They had their thing going on. They didn't want it disrupted. But Jesus knew what was right, and he just really wanted to make it right. And he was not afraid to say something. He knew where he stood, and that was on solid ground. And he knew who he was. Okay, so a lot of the things that happened and the miracles and all of those things, it's like they were so jealous, they were so envious, and they were so threatened by him because they had everything they thought that they could lose. Okay, they had a good thing going. There was 400 years that Israel went without a prophet. And so they were the authority, these religious law leaders, the Pharisees, the Sanhedrin, those who were against Jesus. And all that Jesus wanted to bring was enlightenment and love and healing and the way that things really should have been, but they weren't. He was a change maker. He was somebody that was not supposed to come in like the Messiah was predicted to cause a revolution, an uprising, like a military type war. But he came in with love. And so the Messiah for Jerusalem, for Israel, was not recognized. Not even, and especially not the religious law leaders. They were so blind. They were blinded by the funds and the money and everything that came into the temple and the leadership that they portrayed, that power. I think they were power hungry. Okay, so Jesus stood at his accusers before the government because that's where it had to go. It had to go as far as the government, and he was arrested and turned over to the government. For what? Creating healing? They were jealous. They were so envious and so threatened. And yet, when his accusers came against him, he was silent. He spoke nothing. Nothing. So down the road to Calvary, he knew where he was going. He knew how this was going to end up. But Jesus didn't have to have that victim mentality. He didn't have to be saved because he knew where he was going. He knew intuitively, prophetically, all the way around, because he was, spiritually in touch, that he was God personified within him. And he saw everything. So he knew what was going to happen. He knew the end result was going to be so much more beautiful and healing and releasing and edifying and amazing and awakening for not just him, but everybody. Everybody. He did this so that we could all open our eyes and see. And yet, he went beaten and bruised, carrying the weight of his own cross that he would be crucified on. And he said nothing. Nothing. Now, I'm not saying that when you are in distress and you need help from someone, that there aren't healthy ways to go about that. There is a healthy way to ask for help when you need it. We're supposed to be there for one another. one another ring. We're supposed to do that. But we're not supposed to embrace a victim mentality. When you're accused of something, or when someone has to leave you, and you squawk and you have to go tell everybody, this happened to me, and they did this to me, and you feel the need to squash that person that you misunderstood, just like Jesus was misunderstood, and they felt the need to squash him. A victim who has a victim mentality feels threatened by someone else who might come in and take away the thing that they've got going on. They've got that knight in shining armor and that group that's going to defend them, build them up, give them a reason to stay a victim. They're not helping the victim mentality. They're not helping any healing in this situation. Who is bringing healing to someone? Who? You are being so strong through everything that you've been through, all that has happened to you. And yes, we are strong. I know that when I go through things and it's very, very hard and I verbalize them, I'm open. I don't expect to be saved from them, but receiving compassion is beautiful. But I don't want to be enabled to be a victim. I don't want to be saved because, over the period of time, and I'm not saying that I'm there in the position where Jesus stood and how he was and the strength that he had at that time and always, because we're eternal beings, but I'm getting there, I don't need the attention. I don't have to worry about those past rejections and those healings that need to take place because I did the work. And that's what I'm presenting to you. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Do you need a knight in shining armor? And are you a knight in shining armor for someone who always seems to have something that they need saved from? Open your eyes and look at it. Is something happening out of real need for someone to help them and real compassion that comes in to help them in a healthy way? Or is this a repeated cycle of dependent and codependent? Think about it. It's so important to heal from these things. The person who has that victim mentality has been rejected. That person that has that victim mentality never had a voice. They felt like they were persecuted during a period of time, or that they didn't have what other people had. Maybe they weren't heard in their family. Maybe they didn't have a voice, and they finally found someone. Their neediness, their hurt, their pain, everything that desires to be healed, instead of being healed, it decided to attract. That person somehow became hard and found something, a way to attract someone who is going to save them, give them a voice, and even a choir that will give them more of a voice. This is not healing. It's not good for you. If that sounds familiar to you or someone you know, please hear me. Freedom in your heart, healing to a soul level, doing work on yourself is so worth it. If you feel the need to be a victim and you see that in yourself, be strong enough to pull away. Ask for spiritual help. Ask for guidance. Do that internal work. Whether it's Reiki healing, whether it's journaling, whether it's verbalizing, whether it's going to therapy, to counseling, let it out. Whether you need to do like Iyanla Vanzant and just get on your belly, your knees, and cry. Let it out. Get real with who you are and how you stand on this planet. Be grounded, firmly planted in the truth of who you are. Like Jesus, That's the example we're supposed to be following. That's the point of why this was written. And I'm not saying everything was written perfectly, okay? And that's a whole other story. It is. It's a whole other story. What I am saying is that we need to go down the road of healing. And you might feel like you're going down your own Calvary, your own road, and you're carrying this heavy burden, this cross. And believe me, to have to behave in that way, to have to feel like in order to get attention, you need to create a scenario where you need saving. That is such a heavy burden to carry through life. Don't do it. Sister, brother, don't do it. Heal. Take it seriously. And you will see how your life will open up and how much strength you will have, the love and compassion that will come from you and towards you, and the ability to do things that you never did before, because you don't have this heavy thing like a boat anchor. You're anchored to this mentality, and it's become a boat anchor. You don't have that anymore. And it's, it's like, boom, it's cut. It's free. The truth comes in and sets you free. Let it set you free. Let it do it. Let it break you all the way down. And then let yourself be picked up. If you've got to just pull yourself up with all the spiritual assistance that you can find, ask Jesus for help. He's there for you. He's been down that road, not as a victim, but as a victorious one. He knows the road you need to victory. He wants to see the risen you. He wants to see and meet the risen you, that fire inside of you. He wants to meet the one who's like the phoenix and rise again, the one who comes up from the tomb. Come up out of the darkness. Come up out of the tomb. You are walking in darkness. Open your eyes to who you really are. Excavate like you never have before. Do it for you. Do it for you. And then do it for others. Because what are we here for except to help one another? I just want to end this by telling you, I hope this has been edifying. It's not meant to be judgment for you or about you. Don't take it that way. Be true to yourself. Out of all things, be true to yourself and who you are, and be honest and truthful with God. You know that God lives inside of you. You have that light. Let that light be healing for you. Then let it be a beacon on a hill and shine it for everyone. Blessings to you. Have a wonderful Holy Weekend. I love you from here. I'll talk to you again real soon, and we'll get to the point where we're going to continue and do some more healing work. Until then, I am so loving you from here. Bye-bye.